and directing faculty, staff, and students, Lord God, to continue to be a beacon of light across this state in the workforce. Lord, I pray that every decision that's made today will be for the betterment of the students that we represent here. Lord, we give you all the honor, all the glory, and all the praise. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you. Will we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Flag is right. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next, have roll call, Madam Secretary.
Present.
Present. Present. Present. Present. Present. Thank you, Madam Secretary. Next, we have approval of the agenda, which was distributed in advance of our board meeting to our board members for their review. I will now entertain a motion to approve the agenda. So moved. I have a motion from Mr. Duss. Do I have a second? Second. Second from Mr. Houston. All those in favor of approving signify by raising your hand or a voice vote. Any opposition? Motion passes for approval. We next have approval of the minutes of the September 13th, 2023 meeting. Our minutes were distributed also in advance of our board members, to our board members for their review. I will now entertain a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting. So a motion from Mr. Lightsey. Do I have a second? Second from Mr. McCarthy. Any discussion? All those in favor of approval, please signify by raising your hand or a voice vote. Seeing no opposition, the motion actually passes. Public comment, Ms. Wilkes, do we have anyone signed up? All right, well, we will actually move through the agenda as printed, beginning with first our college spotlight from Wallace Selden.
Good morning. Good morning. To Mr. Rohn, members of the board, Chancellor Baker, on behalf of 2,000 students, 211 employees, 17,623 graduates, we welcome you to Wallace Community College Selma. We are a college where we know that we are truly building bridges to the future. We also know that our students enter to learn, but they depart to serve. I have the task this morning of Chancellor doing something by script, and I'm not good at that. So I'm gonna ask the board to struggle with me through this, and it won't be long, but we just wanted the opportunity to give you some highlights of some great things that are happening at this college. And we know it's happening at all of our community colleges because I know the presidents of those colleges as well and our system. But we just want to have this opportunity to do a little bragging here while you were here. So, you know, I think it's interesting, and a lot of people don't know, but this college was originally founded in '63 as William Rufus King Vocational Technical School in 1963. That was its original name. And then in 1973, the Alabama State Board of Education authorized the second change of the name to George Corley Wallace State Community College. And, you know, that kind of gives you a brief history of where we are. And our vision is very important to us because as has been noted right from last night through today, we know that our only purpose here is to serve students. We have no other purpose here, serve our students. Because we know if we meet the needs of our students, we know that we have been successful and they have a better opportunity to be successful when they leave here. We have a part to play in that, and we take that very seriously. And our mission, our vision reflects that. One of the things in our system that has been a point of emphasis among many, but some that are very important, we've had national declines in retention and in enrollment. And because of the efforts of our system office and working with us, we have seen some increases where nationally they are still, a lot of community colleges are still seeing declines. And I think that's important. For an example, with our retention rate, you can kind of see it from years where we are. And we feel that for our 23, 22 cohort, that that data is going to even show another increase. I'm not going to go through all the success data because in a minute, I'm going to bring two people up here who have very much to do with every day, boots on the ground, working with our students in our wraparound services to ensure that they are successful. Our graduation rate has increased, and that's always, again, because of the efforts of our system office and the employees here at this college working together. Degrees awarded. You can kind of get a quick glimpse of where that is. Our enrollment, and that's something, and I think Dr. Scott, Neil Scott here has come here numerous times and working with us. And I think we are beginning to see the fruits of that labor because we had an increase so far, and we haven't finished counting, of credit hour production of 15,929 and also of head count of 1,981. And we feel that that's going to get to 1,000 because we are still finishing up many semester registration. One of the things that the programs that we felt has been our greatest success in terms of all that data I just showed you in terms of where we are in retention, where we are in graduation rates, where we are in degrees awarded, is based upon our belief, as I said, that we know life happens to our students. And by life happening to our students, we know that we have to do things other than make sure they get registered for the class, make sure they have an instructor in the class, and make sure they go to class. Life happens. So we have formed here a student success center. And that student success center is about just that. That I can assure you, if a student misses a class or misses an exam, he or she is going to get a text, a phone call, or something saying, hey, I know you didn't do well on this exam. Let's talk. And that's for all of our students who are in those categories. We started this out as a grant, but we saw some of the successes of it after the grant period was over. And we said, we got to continue this. So the college paid for continuing this program. And it is one of the programs I'm proud of, most of them, but it is one that I'm most proud of because you can readily see the results and the fruits of their labor. And I'm going to ask them to come forward and just give a brief, and I'll assure you, a brief presentation of some of their success.
Good morning, and it will be brief because Dr. Mitchell already touched on some of the data. My name is Jennifer Reynolds. I'm the Director of Student Success here at Wallace, and I have with me Ms. Darlene Rudolph. She's our coaching coordinator.
Good morning.
And we'll get started because we will be brief.
Very brief. Our coaching model, targeted and intentional intervention. Each student that is registered for classes at Wallace gets a coach. And I mean, each student gets a coach. And what that coach does, they provide them with a targeted plan in order to help them to be successful. Our coaches are tailored to each program. So they're selected that if you're in nursing, you only have one coach for nursing. If you're in the technical department, you only have one coach for that technical department.
And as far as the data, Dr. Mitchell has already touched on some of our data points, but we have a slide here that shows graduation, retained, and combined rates. And that was prior to coaching being implemented. And we looked at the data in 2021 again, and we shared those numbers.
Coaching versus advising. Our coaches are forming relationships that help our students to build the skills they need to be successful. So they're just not, they don't advise. They're actually getting one-on-one with those students, meeting with those students on a weekly basis if they're struggling with their classes. They're providing resources on campus and off campus to help them to be successful because like Dr. Mitchell says, we know that life happens. And if life happens, then we know that that sometimes affect your schoolwork. So we're gonna make sure that if there's some things that we need to provide for them, that we are, and we do have a list of resources off campus that we can provide them. And then we do follow up with those things.
One of the tools that we have in our arsenal is Dropout Detective. It integrates with our Canvas learning management system. And we use the red light, green light, yellow light. Everybody remembers that. You played it when you were young, so you know that method. Those students that are in red are our most critical students. We're able to look at the data, drill down to see what's going on. So Dropout Detective gives us a picture immediately because our instructors are putting in the grades. Our coaches are reviewing that information. And as they're reviewing it, if a student misses an assignment, we're able to look at the data to see where they are. Once they miss that first assignment, we're able to see when they logged in the last time, when they submitted an assignment, their last exit. So we have data. So when we're reaching out to our students, we're not just calling and saying, well, what we think, we're looking at what we know. So that allows us to have a greater picture. It's like a proactive approach to retention.
Instructor role coaches response. Our instructors play a very big part in what we do. Instructors put in grades daily. So when the grades are put in, it also alerts us. If there's a student that's in an instructor's class and they're having problems, that instructor will set out an alert. Our coaches would then follow up. If that alert is set out the regular work hours, our coaches will go in and call them, text them, or ask them to come in for a meeting. If it's done after work hours, it's done once they come in. So it's done within a 24-hour span. And then once that alert is set off and once we address the issues, we go in and put a note in our Dropout Detective. And our notes are put in what we call RAP. And RAP means reason, action, and plan. So that lets that instructor know what we talked about and how we plan to address that issue.
And that collaboration between instruction and our coaches has been great for us because it allows us to have those real-time conversations. We're not waiting until the end of the semester to find out what's going on. We're addressing data as we see it. And because we're having those conversations, we had a course last summer that the students were having issues with. The coaches' notes told us that there was something going on. We reached out to the associate dean of instruction to say, hey, there's something going on with this. Can you help drill down into this? She drilled down into it. We met. This was not at the end of the semester. We were possibly midway, but we knew that there was something going on. And if you look at the data points for this, before the conversation started, we had 34% DWF rate. After those conversations were down now, and the changes that were implemented were down to 8% for that particular. Interventions were made, changes were made in the classes, and we can see the difference. And we think that collaboration has helped us with how we're tailoring the needs of the students.
Impact of efforts.
And Dr. Mitchell touched on some of that data, so you've already seen that portion, but we do see the data shows.
Retention rates.
He's talked on that one as well. What we feel makes us successful, we have support from the top down. Our president is involved in it. Our deans are making decisions to help us make these successful. We have intensive engagement between instruction and the student side. We don't have it's their problem or our problem. It's all of our problems. We're addressing it. They're listening. We're listening. We're making decisions based on the data that we're receiving. What we found out that works for us, identify coaches who have service-minded attitude. If you have a service heart, you will be able to do it because you can be academically trained, but not have the heart to deal with the students. Know who your students are. Research who you're serving. You learn that early on. Know who you're serving. I can't tailor a plan for someone. Our plan needs to be able to meet the needs of that particular student because when they receive that phone call and we're calling them by name, that makes a big difference in our data. Develop strategies, start up small and look at the data, review the data constantly. We meet with instruction every semester. We don't wait until the end to have our meeting. Most times, if we notice something, we drill down right then. But look at the data. That's what we're doing. Talking with instruction, collaboration and communication have been key to our success. And if you want the longer version of this presentation, thank you all for your attention.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. You can see why we feel that we have one of the best student success centers in the country. Mr. Rowan, if I may, I'd like to also recognize the people who do a great job day in and day out and, keeping us true to our mission of serving our students. I'd like for all faculty and staff to please stand to be recognized. Thank you. They do a great job. Also, I'd like to take this opportunity to, Mr. Rona, thank you and the board and the chancellor for giving me the opportunity to live my dream of being a college president. So thank you very much.
Well, as you can see from that presentation, Wallace Community College Selma is walking the walk in terms of being right there step by step with their students, no matter where they are. And this, one example that was highlighted, the dropout detection system, provides the data that actually gives them the opportunity to have a real conversation that can not only help in the academic realm, but I am sure in the realm that most students find themselves, which is Dr. Mitchell called it life, in terms of navigating some of those challenges and opportunities that are there. So thank you all for sharing that with us. And I am sure the other 23 schools have versions of this in terms of meeting their students as well. And so we thank them for their efforts there as well. We'll continue to move through our agenda, beginning with, for those who may look at the printed version, as section 8, executive public information. And the first action item we have is from Coastal Alabama Community College Bookstore Operation Agreement. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees authorize the president of Coastal Alabama Community College to enter into a new bookstore operation and services agreement with Barnes & Noble College Booksellers, LLC, for the period beginning December 1st, 2023 and ending on November 30th, 2028, with an option for an additional 5 one-year renewals and to charge a $24 per credit hour fee for textbook rental. This agreement would take effect at the end of the current agreement with Barnes & Noble College. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion, do I have a second by Mr. Dust? I have a second by Mr. McCartney. All those in favor show by the normal sign of raising your hand or a voice vote. Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. Next, we have in section 9, instruction, research and development, adult education facilities, physical information technology and workforce development. Our first action item is from the Alabama Community College System. Adoption of resolution for the allocation of FY 2022-2023 education supplemental appropriation funds, the Alabama Correction Institution Finance Authority. That's a mouthful. Allocation of $103 million of FY 2022-2023 education supplemental appropriation funds to be transferred to the Alabama Corrections Institute Finance Authority. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees approve the attached resolution and memorandum of understanding and authorize and direct the chancellor to execute the memorandum of understanding with the Alabama Corrections Institute Finance Authority and the Alabama Department of Corrections in substantially the form attached hereto, and to transfer the funds necessary to fulfill ACCS's responsibility under the Supplemental Appropriations Act. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Houston, second by Mr. Lightsey for approval. All those in favor, please show by raising your hand or a voice vote. Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. Next, we have from the Alabama Community College System allocation of $15 million of FY 2022-2023 education supplemental appropriation funds to be transferred to the Mobile Airport Authority per a memorandum of understanding for aviation infrastructure. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees approve the attached resolution and memorandum of understanding and authorize and direct the chancellor to execute the memorandum of understanding with the Mobile Airport Authority in substantially the form attached hereto, and to transfer the funds necessary to fulfill ACCS's responsibilities under the Supplemental Appropriations Act. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Houston, second by Mr. McCarthy. All those in favor by the usual sign of raising your hand or a voice vote. Showing no opposition, the motion passes. Next, we have an action item from Bishop State Community College, purchase of real property. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees authorize the Alabama Community College System to purchase for the benefit of Bishop State Community College 4,933 square feet of property located at 977 Congress Street, Mobile, Alabama, 36603. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Dust. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Houston. All those in favor, please use the regular voting sign or a voice vote. Showing no opposition, the motion passes. Next, we have an action item from the Central Alabama Community College, addition of instructional site. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees approve an additional instructional site for Central Alabama Community College. Do I have a motion for approval? A motion from Ms. Valerie Rogers, second by Mr. McCarthy. All those in favor, please raise your hand or voice vote. Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. Next, we have an action item from Trenholm State Community College CDL training site. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees authorize change order number 3 for the project named Trenholm State Community College CDL training site. The change order is for the addition of a concrete flume and some site excavation work for erosion control. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Lightsey, second by Mr. Houston. All those in favor, please use the regular voting sign or a voice vote. The motion passes. Next, we have an action item from Jefferson State Community College, air handler replacements. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees authorize Jefferson State Community College to proceed with the project named air handler replacements. The scope of work will replace 14 units in 3 buildings located on the Jefferson campus. Construction contracts for the project shall be executed no later than January 1st, 2024, or this authorization shall expire. Do I have a motion for approval? Raise your hand or a voice vote. Showing no opposition, the motion passes. Next, we have an action item from Bevel State Community College, Fayette Campus Nursing Lab relocation and renovation. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees authorize Bevel State Community College to proceed with the project named Fayette Campus Nursing Lab relocation and renovation. The scope of the work will relocate the nursing simulation lab from the main building to be renovated and modernized nursing space in the Bevel building. Construction contract shall be executed no later than January 31st, 2024, or this authorization shall expire. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Lightsey. Do I have a second?
No, second.
Second by Mr. McCarthy. All those in favor, please use the regular voting sign or a voice vote. Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. Next, we have an additional action item from Bevel State Community College, Summerton Building 400 renovation for machine tool. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees authorize Bevel State Community College to proceed with the construction of the project named Summerton Building 400 renovation for machine tool. The scope of work will be provided upon, will provide updated electrical, necessary utilities, building life safety systems, and installation of new equipment. Construction contracts for the project shall be executed no later than November 1st, 2023, or this authorization shall expire. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
I have a
Second.
motion from Mr. Houston, seconded by Mr. Rogers. All those in favor, please raise your hand or voice vote. Showing no opposition, the motion passes. Next action item we have is from the Alabama Community College System, approval to purchase real property. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees authorize the Alabama Community College System to purchase from the Alabama Armory Commission property located at West Maple Avenue in Geneva, Alabama. The property parcel is approximately 6.1 acres and contains 4 structures. Do I have a motion for approval?
So moved.
Motion from Mr. Rogers. Do I have a second? Second from Mr. McCarthy. All those in favor, please use the regular voting sign or a voice vote. Seeing no opposition, the motion passes. Next, we have an action item from the Marion Military Institute softball press box replacement. It is recommended that the Alabama Community College System Board of Trustees authorize Marion Military Institute to proceed with the new construction of the softball press box replacement project. The scope of work includes new restrooms and concession space. Construction contract shall be executed no later than January 31st, 2024, or this authorization shall expire. Do I have a motion for approval? Motion from Ms. Valerie Gray. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second from Mr. Houston. All those in favor, please use the regular voting sign or a voice vote. The motion passes. That concludes all of the action items on today's agenda. We will now move to personnel. Do we have any? Seeing none, we will move to the Chancellor's report.
I'd like to ask our Director of Student Services to come and give us a report. And while you're here, then I want to discuss a few items.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Do you want me to go through my regular report, or do you want to talk about what you want to talk about first?
All
right.
Report first.
Sounds good. Sounds good. Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you again for being here, and your team, and for the warm welcome. We're always met with a warm welcome when we're here at Wallace-Selma, but I'm always encouraged at the level of love that you have and your team has for this community and for your students. So as of Monday, October 16th, our colleges are ahead in head count. Again, just consistent with some of the reports that we've given, 21 of 24 are ahead in 21 of our 24 colleges are ahead in credit hour production. We've actually seen a little bit of a jump though in our head count since I last reported to you. 84,201 students are registered for fall courses at ACCS colleges. That's 7.23% ahead of our final head count last fall. And that equates to 5,679 more students than last fall. Our credit hour production has seen a slight increase as well, 5.74% ahead of the final number from last year. But since we're at Wallace-Selma, I think it's very important that we highlight what's happening there. And Dr. Mitchell has shared some of those numbers with you, but I'm not sure that he's given himself enough credit. I'm not sure he's given his staff quite enough credit there, because there's some really astonishing numbers there if I'm reading the data correctly. This fall, Wallace-Selma has 1,988 students. I think your number showed 1981, so gone up just a little bit, or 1982. So I think our next agenda item is to all move out into the Selma community and recruit 12 more students to the campus so that this fall we can have that 2,000 number that we're all shooting for. But 1,988 students are registered for fall courses. This is 128 students, or 6.88% over their fall 22 head count, and their credit hour production is 4.05% ahead of last fall. Not only are they ahead of where they were last fall, but their head count is the highest that it has been since the fall of 2011. It's a big number. They are producing more credit hours this fall than they have since the fall of 2016. And just reiterating, we're so proud of Dr. Mitchell and his team. And I've gotten to know Dean Griffin very well, and so proud of the work that she does here. And she's just a resource to me every time I have a question about a matter of policy or a matter of practice on our campus. She's always a wonderful call for me to make. So that's my report on the 4 credit courses, and I'm happy to take any questions or have any further conversation.
Okay, if I talk.
Absolutely.
Really, across the system, student service people and employees have done a tremendous job. And in the face of nationally, we're one of the few states where we're still gaining, increasing. But reality is there are not as many students, not as many warm bodies, not as many people graduating from high school and available to be recruited. But there are worlds of students out there that we still need to recruit. And I think a lot of that is going to require us to be maybe more flexible in how we offer what we offer, maybe looking at different approaches, and a lot of work needs to be done. And I would like for you to put together a group of participants from the schools and student services. Let's look at the real data nationally, look at the real data in Alabama, and let's look at, do we need to maybe make some adjustments or some additions or some changes, or to grow in certain ways, or offering opportunities that we maybe aren't offering? And there's still a lot of people in this state that need help. If we don't do it, no one else is going to do it. So if you will, call upon the people across the system, and let's work toward that over a period of several months. And then let's see if, in keeping the board informed as we go along, see if there's some things that we can do that we aren't doing that would enhance the opportunities.
Thank you. We'll have a lot of fun with that conversation, and I know that it'll be a lot of work, but we'll make sure that we're trying to give every citizen the best opportunity at success.
Thank you.
Thank you.
As the Chancellor mentioned and Dr. Scott in his remarks, we are an anomaly on the national scale in terms of our system and being up in categories of both credit hour production and students. And that is almost counterintuitive given the smaller and getting smaller number of high school graduates, particularly, that are being turned out of Alabama's high schools. Several of us recently participated in a conference in which we were talking with colleagues from other systems and community colleges as a part of the ACCT conference. And it was enlightening to see how our numbers, and the presentation actually had up arrows. And most folks that were sitting or participating on the listening side of it, their hours were going down as it relates to students, credit hours, et cetera. So we're not basking, if you will, and taking that for granted, as evidenced by the Chancellor's remarks, to say, what do we need to do to keep these trends going in the right direction? What evolutions do we need to make in our delivery? But also, what do people need and what do our business leaders actually want in terms of their prospective employers? So we again thank each and every one of you as college presidents for leading your respective institutions to make those adoptions, along with also being nimble. If there's anything we all learned from COVID is the notion of being nimble and having to be both nuanced at the same time. Are there any committee reports? Hearing none, we are getting towards the end of this meeting. I guess in Dr. Mitchell's fashion of be brief and get it done, right?
Mr. Chairman, let me have 1 minute before you adjourn this meeting, please.
By all means.
Oh, I've spoken to Dr. Mitchell about this, but I've had some prior experiences with Wallace Community College here that I want to just mention. It's brought back a lot of memories coming back to Selma, Alabama. My mother graduated from Wallace Community College in probably 1978, I guess, got her RN degree at the same time while my dad was in the hospital at UAB because he knew she was getting ready to be a widow raising 3 teenagers. And anyway, hats off to Wallace Community College for that. Changed our trajectory in life and helped us as a family. And then I moved here in 1986 after I graduated from Auburn. My wife's first job was for Wallace Community College out on Craig Field working in adult ed for Dr. Joe Smith and Mr. Post. I don't know if anybody on the faculty still knows those people, but it was great experiences for us. And thank you for all you do. It's wonderful to be back on campus.
The tentacles are long from Wallace. And I'm sure there's similar places, but thank you, Dust. We appreciate that. Well, if there's nothing else that needs to come before us, the date and location for our next meeting. First, we have the work session for this October meeting, which will start approximately, we'll say 11 a.m. I'll give you about 15 minutes from now, and it will be right here in this room. And the next meeting of the Board of Trustees will be November 8th at 10 a.m. in the boardroom in the ACCS building in Montgomery. So if we don't have any other business to come before us, we'll move to adjourn this meeting. It's been moved, and so second, meeting is adjourned.
Chairman riding his hard.
Hey, I want to get y'all on the road. Like this, right, it's nice.
I'm doing quite a collection of those. How about you?
We will go ahead and get started. The work session comes to order. David?
Good morning to you all. Dr. Mitchell, good morning. Thank you for hosting us today. The first item on the work session agenda is the Board of Trustees meeting schedule for next year, 2024. All of the dates are the second Wednesday of the month, as historically the meetings have been held. Are there any questions about the meeting schedule? The next item, well, it's time again for us to renew our general liability and garage liability policies and our cyber liability policies. With regard to our general liability policy, we have received a quote from this year, as stated in the action item. The initial quote was $246,768. While the board meeting was ongoing, I had requested our broker to see if he could cut a better deal. And while the meeting was ongoing, got an email that knocked that down to $234,000 for the GL policy this year. The garage liability policy will be $15,198 and will cover the period of November 15 to 2023 through November 14, 2024. Are there any questions relating to the general liability or garage liability policies?
Glad the broker was able to do a little more brokering.
The next item is the cyber liability insurance. We have a quote for the coverage period of November 15, 2023 through November 14, 2024 in the amount of $372,325. That's only a 4.5% increase over last year. And considering the cyber liability market, this number came back great. Our broker was just absolutely tickled to be able to present this to us. So I am very comfortable with that number. Same coverage as last year, both with regard to the cyber liability and general liability and garage liability. No changes in the limits, no changes in the coverage itself. So I think we're set for next year in terms of those insurances. The next item is Coastal Alabama's request to sell a piece of off-campus property located in Bruton at the intersection of Bell Street and Joseph Avenue. The piece of property is approximately half an acre. It was gifted to the college a number of years ago, and really the college has absolutely no use for it. It's bounded on two sides by a drainage ditch, and when it rains, it floods. But there is someone interested in purchasing the property to use as a parking lot. And the college is just trying to be a good community partner with respect to this piece of property. It's vacant, just a flat piece of land. Any questions relating to this item? The next item is Calhoun's request that the Board of Trustees authorize the president to expend $810,000 to purchase a M&I Megatronics 4.0 training system with 12 stations for the college's Advanced Technology Center. This system will include equipment and curriculum related to smart manufacturing topics such as energy monitoring, industrial cybersecurity, predictive maintenance, and machine learning. The system will allow over 200 students annually to have hands-on learning opportunities that are industry relevant. The college will be the first college in the United States to have such a piece of equipment, which I think is pretty remarkable. Any questions relating to this item? The remaining items on the work session agenda are facilities items, and I'll turn the floor over to Mark Sauer.
Good morning. This morning, we have 5 items to present for board consideration. The first one we'll start with is the project that we have at Bevel, located in Jasper out at the industrial park site. We are introducing a partnership with Alabama Power Company in the way of an energy services center. We've included in your packet, board members, information about the center and taken the existing training site that the college has and repurposing it so that we are able to accommodate not weatherization, but EV vehicles. We're looking at solar as a solution to go into the space as well, and fiber optic training to complement the needs that are emerging across the state. This will become a state-of-the-art facility, the first of its kind to address these issues and to reach out to the entire state of Alabama for these workforce needs. We've included in there some floor plans and schematics that basically show how we are going to repurpose the space for these various programs. It is a complete renovation of the space, the 2 buildings and the office, that building that is in the front of the building, as well as some additional site work. We do have plans out there as well to install a solar farm. And eventually, Alabama Power's vision is to take this building completely off the grid and have it operate off of solar energy. We included in there some elevations and some of the jazzing up of the building just to give it a little bit of a contemporary feel, a techie feel, if you will. And then within your packets, we made available to you the budget that we see for this particular project. We do expect with some of the work that we're doing, we're still finding a little bit of need to work further with Alabama Power in refining some of the things that they need in this building. We did have a very good meeting last week and expect to be able to sit down as early as next week and have a final review and then move this project into a bidding phase. We will be looking, board members, to take and put an early release purchase package out there for major mechanical and electrical equipment that have lead time issues. Board members, any questions about the Alabama Power and Bevel Community College Energy Services Center project? Yes, sir, Chancellor.
Without going too deep into this will allow us to provide training across the state at all of our students, be able to introduce the EV situation training, which would be a huge asset.
It is. In fact, the meeting we had last week, it did address and focused and centered around that very topic. And how do we approach the servicing of these electric vehicles, the batteries, do it safely? And it was a very good meeting and collaborative effort between the college and Alabama Power to address electric vehicles.
Mark, what part does the power company play? You said the partnerships, or what is their part of the partnership?
I'll take a stab at it, and then I think we can turn that one over to President Haygood to add commentary, but our role is in this part to certainly fit out the space. Alabama Power is doing a very good job, but they're basically trying to craft the curriculum that they see in terms of addressing the future needs and current needs in the state for servicing these areas, fiber optics, EV, whatever it may be. And then the college has that significant responsibility and opportunity to deliver that training. President Haygood, you want to add to that? Thank you. Okay. Any other questions on this, on the center? Board members, the next project that we have is at Lorleen B. Wallace Community College, specifically down at the Andalusia campus. We have at this, for this particular location, a project that's been ongoing now for almost a couple of years in development, which is the opportunity to renovate the administration building. So we're looking at an overhaul of this space, modernizing it. The building is beyond its design life for its system, so we're going right down to mechanical, electrical, plumbing where needed, and giving this building another 40 to 50 years of life. We included in your packet a floor plan of the proposed changes and adjustments to the building. The renderings in here show a little bit of an effort to bring the buildings that come out of the 60s into a more contemporary look, where we'll be putting an entrance on there and just really beginning to start changing the overall appearance of the buildings on that campus. This building really will set the standard as we go forward over the year, in the years ahead, to modernize the Andalusia campus. We are at this point still on track to receive bids later this month and to bring those bid results back to the board for action in the November meeting. And we expect that this project can be completed at the end of next year in 2024. Board members, any questions about the renovation of LBW's administration building? The next project is at Coastal Alabama Community College, specifically at the Bruton campus. We have a number of roofs that experienced some severe weather at that particular site earlier this year, back during the summer. And so the college has identified 8 locations at that campus where the roofs have been compromised. Some of them were in need of repair, but the storm as it came to it pretty much pushed everything that was being deferred to the forefront that needs to be addressed in addition to the storm damage. This is going to be an effort where we have insurance. Dr. Pouncey and his team have been wonderful in working with the insurance company to identify what they'll do to help, and as far as covering the expenses and the cost of this. We anticipate that we'll be able to bring back those results to the board for action in the next 2 to 6 weeks. And then once we got that approval, then we are able to move forward and complete those repairs we expect by the end of the second quarter of next year. Any questions about Coastal and the multi-roof project at the Bruton campus?
Does your number shown not include any insurance payment?
That is on the second page. I think we identified in there an insurance fund. And you'll see that there, and whatever is deficient, then the college is prepared to make up the balance of the shortage in insurance.
But you don't have any idea yet.
No, Dr. Pouncey, I think, has a better idea from yesterday, but I think that is yet to be finalized. I think the insurance company, true to form, will be expecting us to provide them with the returns from the bids, and then that final determination being made. Any other questions? The next project that we have, board members, takes us over to Northeast Alabama. This is the continuation of the introduction of the new softball field to that site. Earlier this year, we took on phase 1 and 2 for the field, for concessions, the stand, the press box, and so forth. This is the introduction of the indoor practice facility. And on this particular initiative, this one is being supported and funded with the help of the legislature back last spring. But in this particular project, we included in there a breakdown of the building, and it will include a locker room for the team and space in there for the coaches. And then we've got what they call 3 tunnels. 2 of those will be used for the students to practice batting, and then they've got a 3rd tunnel designated where you can have up to 2 pitchers practicing in that space. So it will be a nice addition. We chopped up the footprint or the schematic floor plan so that you could look at it from top to bottom, just to enlarge the drawing. It's a little bit difficult to see and take a drawing that's 2 by 3 feet and shrink it down, but it gives you the idea of what we're trying to accomplish in there. We did include in there the architect's approach and renderings to the building to complement the rest of the build out that's currently ongoing with phase 1 and 2 with the field. One of the other things that we did learn to insert into this project, going back to the first phase 1 and 2 of the field, is that they were trying to put in there a covered canopy that would cover the entire seating area. And that was sort of a little bit of a legislative encouragement that was given to us. We got pricing for that, board members, that came back to us as an estimate just a few days ago. That is a very large number. It's approaching $1 million. And so what we've done is it certainly goes well beyond what we might consider as a change order. And so we've included that in as an alternate bid with this package as well, just to see what will happen. We were not able due to time to include that in your packet, but we'll have that for you as we update and get ready for next month's meeting so that you're able to see that. But that'll be an interesting number to bid out, just to see what the market will charge us to put this shaded covering solution over the grandstands for the seating solution of this particular field.
Mark, is there a budget estimate for that covering?
That budget estimate, it's about $1 million is what.
No, well, I'm saying that's the estimate, I guess, a vendor or a subcontractor provided, but is there an expected design team estimate?
Yeah, the design team on that canopy, they're the ones that came up with that estimate, roughly just a little less than $1 million.
Oh, okay, I thought that was from a.
No,
Okay,
no, they just, before we took it to them, they brought it to us to review, and we're just going, ouch. So we just, at this point, are just working through that just to take it to the market, just to see what we can get for it. Any other questions about the softball field indoor facility at Northeast or the canopy? The next project, board members, comes down to coastal Alabama. We stuck this one in here. It's a little bit premature, but we wanted it to complement what was given to you earlier today as far as the work that you saw happening at Brookley Field. But this is going to be the new aviation training center that will be located at Brookley. In your packet, and we added another slide over the last couple of days to expand on this. This new aviation training center is intended to go inside what we would call the fence of the existing airport that's being designed and developed there in downtown Mobile. And you can see the proximity of that building in this drawing in relation to the runway. And generally speaking, to a little bit to the north and to the east, perhaps about a half a mile to 3/4 of a mile away, is going to be the new terminal building. And then to the far left there of the runway, you can see what we are familiar with as far as the Airbus production and manufacturing facility. This particular center, the renderings that we see here is a combination of a hangar space as far as instructional lab areas and classrooms to be able to complement the A&P mechanic training that is occurring there in Mobile. We did include in there a little bit more of the site. Again, a little bit of an aerial view of what this building will look like. And then some schematics as best we could in reducing it to this size here, where you can begin to see this is the first floor and the layout of that space. And then you go upstairs and we have classrooms and so forth that have been developed. We do have in here office space as well for faculty to be able to have that available to them. And it's a very good solution for the students and for the demands that are growing down there in Mobile as far as aviation goes. We have in here a little bit of a project summary and scope that we included in here for you. We anticipate at this point, if we can move this through, we are hoping to be able to bring back as early as bid results towards the end of November in terms of an early release package for you to act on in the December meeting for site work and for the civil activities. We do expect it'll be several more months before we are able to finish up the final designs. We are intending to also release an early package for mechanical and electrical equipment that have those long lead times. We've learned a tremendous amount about the value in that, even with projects that seem to have what we think is a reasonable time frame to complete, and leaving those particular facets of the project in the general contractor's bid that we're still experiencing delays. And we really believe that if we pull these long lead time items out and proactively work with the suppliers, get them under contract and delivery dates, that perhaps that takes a little stress and pressure off of the subcontractors and GCs that do the work. We do expect that the project will get launched effectively in the second quarter of next year, and sometime around the beginning to the mid part of the fourth quarter in 2025, we'll complete the construction of this building. Board members, any questions about this particular project, the new aviation training center?
Let me ask you. What kind of timing are we looking at relative to the other project, the expansion and improvement of the existing facility?
That project this becomes the lead activity that we're looking at. As we complete this activity in this new building on the backside of 2025, then once that's done, that allows the existing program in the building that Chancellor Baker is referring to be emptied and vacated. We will go into a design and review phase of that later on next year, and certainly be ready that when the building is vacated, we have bid out that work sometime towards the end of 2025. So whatever improvements and renovations we intend to make, that as this building is finished in 2025, we're able to go in at the beginning of 2026 and complete that work. And we hope that that work can be completed by this third or fourth quarter of 2026.
And that will be a vision project.
It will be. This project here is right now tailored and designed for coastal, and the other building is going to be designed to service the needs and the programs offered by Bishop. Bishop is a unique one because much of what will go into that building that Chancellor Baker was speaking to are the programs that we're currently developing for Airbus and that are currently being delivered and taught at the Southwest campus. In fact, we're ramping up right now, and especially beginning in 2024, at Southwest campus, they're prepared and are able to train as many as up to 200 to 240 employees each year for Airbus as they begin to ramp up their services. And so by the time we finish this building, that significant ramp up and the volume of those that need to be trained for Airbus, that's going to taper off. And so what Airbus is excited about is they move that training from Southwest to this location in 2026, is that it's right there conveniently just across the parking lot from AIDT. And they love the idea of just picking up a shuttle, bringing their workers down there for both locations, and they go and get trained. And that's also appealing for Bishop at this time in terms of their planning and looking at things today, where that need there at the Southwest campus ends and moves into this renovated space that Bishop then will take Southwest and then repurpose it for other industry needs that are within the community.
So it won't be two aviation programs.
No, not at all. They're two what Coastal offers is very different than what Bishop will offer.
Mark, you just mentioned the Airbus training needs will taper off sometime after 2026. What I guess is the plan to actually kind of fill or keep that space active as their needs kind of flatten out?
I think what we see right now in the meetings that we've been in, and Keith is a very good expert on that because we've been in these meetings together. But we have seen that the demand for ramp up is they're bringing new lines and trying to accommodate the production of a new airplane, that we're expecting that to diminish and come down. But what is happening, what we offer out there in this new location for Bishop is the ability to deal with their attrition. That's what they're going to be dealing with. So they have a predetermined idea of what that attrition number looks like. It is very smaller than the volume of trained people that are coming out of Southwest and will come out of Southwest the next 2 to 3 years. So it is smaller. And going out there to Coastal, that may be just the ideal place to be. But that's to say, when we take a look at Airbus, they're also expecting and trying to do other things. So they may just throw a curve at us and say, look, we're going to add another line. And they do have plans and aspirations to do more than what they've been able to come forward and share with us at this time. But what is planned shows that we'll see a tapering off of the demands that we have that are ramping up at Southwest. Did I answer that question effectively?
Yeah, because my concern, if I can even call it a concern, ramp up to meet their needs, it tapers off. You said it gets smaller around attrition. We've now built an asset. And I'm just trying to match supply and demand as best we can, obviously, given the future, none of us really know.
Keith, you want to add anything?
Thank you.
Mark, one question I have is in relationship for the square footage. It seems like that is higher than some of the other different projects. Is that just based on proximity or the location? Or do you feel like that's in alignment with some of the other projects that we kind of looked at and working on?
It's probably a combination of yes to all of those. We do have a degree of uncertainty going into Mobile. We know that there is such a shortage of just the craftsmen and so forth and the contractors to do the work. And in large part, that number was updated by the architects.
Okay.
And I think they're hedging their bet a little bit.
Okay.
We're optimistic with some of the things that we've seen in the last few months. And we are constantly repeating the narrative. As a design team, we need at least 5 or 6 responsive bids on bid day. And if we can drive that, I think that'll really tell us what the market is in terms of cost. I wish I had a better number or a response, but that's what we're dealing with.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Mark, are you still seeing inflationary pressure on building costs? Is the lead times, is that improving at all?
Mr. Rogers, that's a good question. We're just still seeing, I think, a little of everything. But the overall trend in sense right now, as we look at the numbers, it's been encouraging. But the encouragement is that we've had greater participation in terms of the numbers that have responded to our bids in the last 4 to 6 months than we have had the previous 2 years. And so is that a reflection of maybe inflation is stabilizing? Or is this a reflection that we're able to drive competition into the market to help give us a little bit of a more competitive and reasonable price? I think it's a combination of both. I think that things are stabilizing somewhat, but there is the increasing demand for workers across the entire state. And so I think our material costs are, I still think inflation is still there. They continue to go up. I think the area that we're winning out on, though, really is in trying to bring competition into these different projects. Any other questions? Thank you, board members.
Thank you, Mark. We appreciate it. That was the last item on our work session agenda. Are there any other items for discussion? Hearing none, we are adjourned. Thanks for coming.